Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Where to begin with something that is beginningless and endless? I don't know. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Maybe if what came to mind this morning was something from the Mahabharata that I'd like to share. Some realizations on the episode of the enchanted pool. I think it's chapter 42. I'll put the link in the post the link. Where we drink from, where do we drink from? If we're drinking from a contaminated source, then we're going to get sick. And that's what this episode, it's a very interesting episode. It was actually a test for the Pandavas. And Yudhishthira passed the test, and his brothers were all revived, although they looked like they were gone, that they had passed away from drinking from this contaminated source. They were thirsty, and there was a pool of water there. They were in the forest, and it was contaminated. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama. There's a lot of contaminated sources. If we're thirsty, we're going to drink. I think sometimes people are stranded at sea. They're in a ship or a boat, and there's a tragedy, and they're left there floating in a little life raft, just waiting to be rescued, and they get very thirsty. And some people don't know that you can't drink the seawater because it will make you delusional and will kill the body. You can't just drink seawater. Some people don't know, and they drink it, and they die because they're stranded at sea, they're thirsty, and they've got to drink something, and they drink it, and they die. Other people actually know you're not supposed to drink seawater, but the pressure is so great, they have to get some fluid in there, and they drink it, and they die, even though they know to one degree or another, because the stress of it is just too much. Where we take a drink is very significant in spiritual life. What well we draw our water from. If it's a contaminated well, it won't help us. We'll become sick. And our spiritual life will be very much disturbed. It's like drinking seawater, become delusional, heading toward death. Or birth again in the material world. And who knows when to get the opportunity to make further progress spiritually. We must have a pure source. And Krishna makes the arrangements. If the well becomes contaminated, then so the essential ingredient or the essential, what we have to do is depend on Krishna. And Krishna will send the help. Hare Krishna, Krishna. That's the lesson in all of it, is to learn how to depend on Krishna and not drink that seawater, not drink that contaminated well. To be able to capture the essence and not get stuck in the traditions. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What is it? The Goswamis, they were always looking, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? They didn't take the position that now they have Krishna. They're always looking, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. I'm going to read that Mahabharata little section. Hare Krishna. So it's chapter 42, the enchanted pool. Okay. It's actually a very interesting it's a pastime. Devotees. Okay, I was just going to read a certain section of that. Read the whole thing. The enchanted pool. The stipulated period of 12 years was drawing to a close. So they're in exile, having lost a gambling match. with Duryodhana. They were to do 12 years in the forest in exile, and then the third year they had to become unrecognizable. They had to become incognito in order to fulfill the punishment. Okay, so one day a deer was rubbing itself against a poor Brahmin's fire-kindling mortar. And as it turned to go, the mortar got entangled in its horns, and the affrighted animal fled wildly with it into the forest. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. In those days, matches were unknown, and fire was kindled with pieces of wood by mechanical friction. So the Brahmin is there, and a deer has come, and this fire kindling mortar to light the fire of sacrifice for the Brahmin has somehow gotten entangled in the deer's horns, and he's run off into the forest. So the Brahmin can't do his fire sacrifice. Alas, the deer is running away with my fire kindler. How can I perform the fire sacrifice? Shouted the Brahmin, and rushed toward the Pandavas for help in his extremity. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. So we have the workings of the Varnashram here. The Brahmana, to do the fire sacrifice, goes to the Kshatriyas for help because the sacrifice has been disturbed. The Brahmana, the Pandavas pursued the animal, but it was a magic deer which sped in great leaps and bounds, decoying the Pandavas far into the forest and then disappeared. It's a magical deer. Something going on here on another level. Worn out by the futile chase, the Pandavas sat in great dejection under a banyan tree. These are not ordinary activities. I mean, they sit under a banyan tree. Who sits under banyan trees? Great saints and sages, right? You've got, I believe, Buddha under a banyan tree. You've got different representatives of the Lord, sages and saints. They sit under banyan trees. Okay, so the Pandavas sat in great dejection under a banyan tree. Nakula sighed. We cannot render even this trifling service to the Brahmana. How we have degenerated, he said sadly. Hare Krishna. So this is the turning of the age. And up to the Battle of Kurukshetra, there was an old system. Because Krishna had appeared at that time and to reestablish the religious principles. But as the Kali Yuga progresses, these structured society doesn't work anymore. So they're feeling the pulling and tugging of that. So Nakula says, how have we degenerated? Said sadly. Bhima said, quite so. When Draupadi was dragged into the assembly, we should have killed those wretches. Is it not because we did not do so that we have had to suffer all these sorrows? He looked at Arjuna sadly. Arjuna agreed. I bore in silence the vulgar and insulting brag of that son of the charioteer, doing nothing. So previously, Draupadi was insulted in the assembly of the Kshatriyas. And this son of the charioteer is a reference to Karna. So we have deservedly fallen into this pitiable state. He sees it as karma, but really it's a setup by Krishna, all leading up to bringing in of the new sacrifice, the new practice for Krishna consciousness, which reaches its peak when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears. Yudhishthira noticed with sorrow that all of them had lost their cheerfulness and courage. He thought they would be more cheerful with something to do. Okay, give them something to do. He was tormented with thirst, and so he said to Nakula, "Brother, climb that tree and see whether there is any pool or river nearby." Nakula climbed the tree, looked around, and said, "At a distance, I see water, plants, and cranes. There must be water there." Okay, so the magical deer has led them far astray, and they're tired from trying to catch the deer to get the kindling back for the Brahman's sacrifice. And now he's climbed a banyan tree. There's that nice illustration in the Gita that the whole material world is like a banyan tree. And it's very entangling. Three modes of material nature are there. Very entangling, very difficult to get out of. It must be cut to the root, must be pulled out. Attachment in this banyan tree. So now Nakula has climbed a banyan tree looking for water. Yudhishthira sent him to fetch some to drink. Nakula was glad. When he got to the place and saw there was a pool, he was very thirsty himself, and so thought of quenching his thirst first before taking water in his quiver for his brother. But no sooner did he dip his hand in the transparent water than he heard a voice which said, "Don't be rash. This pool belongs to me. O son of Madri, answer my questions and then drink the water." Nakula was surprised, but carried away by his intense thirst and heedless of the warning, he drank the water. At once, overcome by irresistible drowsiness, he fell down, to all appearance, dead. He was tested, and he didn't pass the test. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thinking of Prahlad Maharaj, whose father, Hiranyakashipu, actually presented him with poisoned food. Food was actually poisoned. But because Prahlad was a pure devotee of the Lord and took shelter of Krishna, the poison had no effect. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. How powerful Krishna consciousness is in its pure form. So here there's a little test going on. There's a little something extra going on with this water. And now Nakula appears to be dead. He's unconscious. He appears to be dead. Surprised that Nakula had not returned, Yudhishthira sent Sahadev to see what the matter was. When Sahadev reached the pool and saw his brother lying on the ground, he wondered whether any harm had come to him. But before looking into the matter further, rushed irresistibly to the water to quench his burning thirst. The voice was heard again. "O Sahadev, this is my pool. Answer my questions, and then only may you quench your thirst." Like Nakula, Sahadev also did not heed the warning. He drank the water and at once dropped down. So Sahadev also didn't pass the test. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna is the supreme purifier. And even if someone does drink from a contaminated source, if they are fully taking shelter of Krishna, they won't have the ill effects of the contamination. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's Krishna's instruction to Arjuna. Because Arjuna was seeing that if he had to fight with his relatives and kill them, that was a contaminated activity. And he was very fearful that there would be all kinds of reactions for that. And Krishna enlightened him that by taking shelter of Krishna, even a so-called contaminated activity, Krishna says, I will protect you from all sinful reaction. Hare Krishna. And sometimes Krishna, in Krishna consciousness, in the course of trying to serve Krishna, there may be some activity which appears contaminating. And it's a test. Do I not do the needful for serving Krishna because there's something there that appears to be contaminated? And in that way, turn away from depending on Krishna? Or do I do the needful even though it appears to be a contaminated activity, but depend on Krishna? This is a test. So now Sahadev also has drank from this contaminated or magical pool. He hasn't passed the test. Like Nakula, Sahadev also did not heed the warning. He drank the water and at once dropped down. Puzzled and worried that Sahadev also did not return, Yudhishthira sent Arjuna to see whether the brothers had met with any danger. And bring water, he added, for he was very thirsty. Arjuna went swiftly. He saw both his brothers lying dead near the pool. He was shocked at the sight and felt that they must have been killed by some lurking foe. Though heartbroken with grief and burning with the desire for revenge, he felt all feelings submerged in a monstrous thirst which irresistibly impelled him to the fatal pool. A monstrous thirst. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Again, a voice was heard. Answer my questions before you drink the water. This pool is mine. If you disobey me, you will follow your brothers. Arjuna's anger knew no bounds. He cried, Who are you? Come and stand up to me, and I will kill you. And he shot keen-edged arrows in the direction of the voice. The invisible being laughed in scorn. Your arrows do but wound the air. Answer my questions, and then you can satisfy your thirst. If you drink the water without doing so, you will die. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So Arjuna asks the right question at least. He says, Who are you that would order me like this? Who are you? Threaten me like this? Who are you? But the invisible being simply laughed. Greatly vexed, Arjuna made up his mind to seek out and grapple with this elusive foe. But first he had to quench his terrible thirst. Yes, thirst was the enemy he must kill first. So he drank the water and also fell down dead. After anxious waiting, Yudhishthira turned to Bhima. Dear brother, Arjuna, the great hero, has also not yet returned. Something terrible must have happened to our brothers, for our stars are bad. Please seek them out and be quick about it. Also bring water, for I die of thirst. Bhima, racked with anxiety, hurried away without a word. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Yes, this thirst, this desire for Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It has to be in the right way. Set, quenched. Thirst has to be quenched in the right way. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is Bhima. His grief and rage can be imagined when he saw his three brothers lying there dead. He thought, this is certainly the work of the Yakshas. I will hunt them down and kill them. But oh, I am so thirsty. I shall first drink water the better to fight with them. He descended into the pool. The voice shouted, Bhimasena, beware. You may drink only after answering my questions. You will die if you disregard my words. So again, just like Arjuna, Bhima says, who are you to dictate to me? Cried Bhima, and he drank the water avidly, glaring around in defiance. And as he did so, his great strength seemed to slip from him like a garment, and he also fell dead among his brothers. They're not actually dead, they're unconscious, but he appears to be dead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It's interesting sometimes a devotee, a great devotee, doesn't recognize Krishna and thinks he's an adversary, like Jambavan fought with Krishna for days and days and days until he realized that only Krishna could actually fight with me like this. So here, the Pandavas aren't recognizing how this is actually Krishna's arrangement. It's not actually Krishna doing this, but it's Krishna's arrangement through the demigods. Okay. Alone, Yudhishthira wailed, full of anxiety and thirst, because none of his brothers have come back. Have they been subjected to a curse? Or are they wandering about in the forest in vain search for water? Or have they fainted or died of thirst? Unable to bear these thoughts and driven desperate by an empowering thirst, he started out to look for his brothers and the pool. Yudhishthira proceeded in the direction of his brothers had taken, through tracks infested with wild boar and abounding in spotted deer and huge forest birds. Presently he came upon a beautiful green meadow, girdling a pool of pellucid water, nectar to his eyes. So not only was he thirsty, but he was distraught at his association, his brothers, the association of his brothers who are all devotees of the Lord. Where are my devotee brothers? But when he saw his brothers lying there like sacred flagpoles thrown pell-mell after a festival, unable to restrain his grief, he lifted his voice and wept. He stroked the faces of Bhima and Arjuna as they lay so silent and still, and mourned. Was this to be the end of all our vows? Just when our exile is about to end, you have been snatched away. Even the gods have forsaken me in my misfortune. Srila Prabhupada said, don't be surprised at who leaves the path, the pure path. Be surprised at who stays. As he looked at their mighty limbs, now so helpless, he sadly wondered who could have been powerful enough to kill them. Brokenly, he reflected, surely my heart must be made of steel, not to break even after seeing Nakula and Sahadev dead. For what purpose should I continue to live in this world? Yeah, in the lives of the devotees, it's not the same kinds of tests that are going on for the out and out materialist. Everything is actually controlled by the demigods in the material plane. And they control all the functions of the body, the moving of the eyelids, the breathing, the water, the air, the rain. They're the controllers and managers of the material facilities. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So we'll see that this is a demigod behind this little test here. And it is all for the purpose of serving Krishna. In this instance, facilitating the battle of Kurukshetra, bringing about the battle of Kurukshetra. There is a sense of mystery, then a sense of mystery overcame him, for this could be no ordinary occurrence. Okay, so Yudhishthira is the leader of the devotee brothers. He's the elder, and Krishna works through him to give direction, overall direction for his devotee brothers and mother and their wife. They have a common wife also. So Yudhishthira has that kind of intelligence. And here he sees, this could be no ordinary occurrence. The world held no warriors who could overcome his brothers. Besides, there were no wounds on their bodies, which could have let out life, and their faces were faces of men who slept in peace, and not of those who died in wrath. There was no trace of footprints of an enemy. There was surely some magic about it. Or could it be a trick played by Duryodhana? Might he not have poisoned the water? Then Yudhishthira also descended into the pool, in his turn drawn to the water by a consuming thirst. At once the voice without form warned as before, your brothers died because they did not heed my words. Do not follow them. Answer my questions first, then quench your thirst. This pool is mine. Yudhishthira knew that these words could be none other than the words of a yaksha, and guessed what had happened to his brothers. He saw a possible way of redeeming the situation. He said to the bodiless voice, see, Yudhishthira wants to bring his brothers back to life, and if he cooperates with the yaksha, who's responsible for their unconscious or possibly dead condition, then there may be a possibility of bringing his brothers back, and he'll have their association again. He said to the bodiless voice, please ask your questions. The voice put questions rapidly one after another. The Yaksha asked, "What makes sun shine every day?" Yudhishthira replied, "The power of Brahman." The Yaksha asked, "What rescues man in danger?" Yudhishthira replied, "Courage is man's salvation in danger." The Yaksha asked, "By the study of which science does man become wise?" Yudhishthira replied, "Not by studying any shastra does man become wise. It is by association with the great wisdom. It is by association with the great in wisdom that he gets wisdom." That's an interesting answer, because associating with the great in wisdom is what is in the Shastra. Those who have great wisdom have recorded their realizations, giving guidance to those who seek wisdom. So there's a way to approach the Shastras, and it's not, you can't jump over the person. You can't just take their wisdom. The way we get wisdom is by taking their association, which they're giving in the form of their wisdom. Can't separate the two out. You can't just take the gift, but not the gift giver. They're connected. I think, Prabhupada, a little pastime there, I think it was Brahmananda. Brahmananda was helping Prabhupada down an incline, giving him support, physical support. They were going downhill somewhere, walking. When they got to the bottom, Srila Prabhupada surprised him, pushed him away. He said, "Thank you very much. I don't need you anymore." And the lesson was, this is the Mayavadi. They try to take what they think is the wisdom, but they disregard the person who's giving the wisdom. And in that way, they cheat themselves. They don't actually have access to that wisdom. They just have a kind of shadow reflection of it. Because the substance is there in that person. Krishna. So the Yaksha asked, "By the study of which science does man become wise?" Yudhishthira replied, "Not by studying any shastra does man become wise. It is by association with the great in wisdom that he gets wisdom." That's how to approach the Shastra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. The Yaksha asked, "What is more nobly sustaining than the earth?" Yudhishthira replied, "The mother who brings up the children she has born is nobler and more sustaining than the earth." Noble occupation, the mother. Because the earth is also a mother for all living entities. But here Yudhishthira is narrowing it down. Yaksha asked, "What is higher than the sky?" Yudhishthira replied, "The Father." What is higher than the sky? The Father. Higher. I'm going to look that word up because the translator of this Mahabharata, it's not his first language. What I find is people who have to study English often use the words in their second and third meanings, and there's more going on in there. Hare Krishna, higher than the sky. Oh, okay. Yeah, see? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. I tend to think higher means like in a mechanical sense. You know, there's low and there's high, right? But here, if we look at comparative adjectives, tall, lofty, towering, elevated, these are all something that we can understand what high is. So if we look at this question now, what is loftier than the sky? Okay. Like the question before is, what is nobler than the earth? And Yudhishthira answers the mother. And now the Yaksha is asking, what is loftier or more elevated than the sky? And Yudhishthira replies, the father. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. The Yaksha asked, what is fleeter than the wind? Yudhishthira replied, the mind. The Yaksha asked, what is more blighted than withered straw? Yudhishthira replied, a sorrow-stricken heart. It's very poetic exchange. The Yaksha asked, what befriends a traveler? Yudhishthira replied, learning. Got some little chills on that. Yeah. Any journey is a journey of learning. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Spiritual journey, learning. Even just a journey going from point A to point B, there's a learning that goes on there. How to get to the destination. Different obstacles come up, and learning how to get there. Hare Krishna. Learning how to keep the focus, that's part of it, not get distracted. Learning how to manage assets so they avoid dangers. Learning. The Yaksha asked, who is the friend of one who stays at home? Yudhishthira replied, the wife. The Yaksha asked, who accompanies a man in death? Yudhishthira replied, Dharma. That alone accompanies the soul in its solitary journey after death. Dharma. I wonder if we can find a definition. Sanskrit especially, there's so many different ways to translate. Hare Krishna. Let's see. Boy, Google is so smart, you know. Google even corrects, sometimes even corrects my spelling. Hare Krishna. Or Sanskrit. Google even corrects Sanskrit verses. Okay. Krishna. Okay, let's see what. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna. So, of course, there's lots of discussion about what Dharma is. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the Buddhists say one thing, the Jains say another, Hindus say another. Dharma. I hope I have this right. I believe I heard this explained as Prabhupada said, that the Dharma is the inherent quality. Like, I think I've got that right. I hope I don't have it confused. The Dharma of sugar is sweet. The Dharma of the living entity is service. That's the Dharma. So, yeah, if you look at the word Varnashram Dharma, that means service according to Varnashram. And if you look at Sanatan Dharma, you're looking at the eternal occupation, which is devotion, pure devotion to Krishna, Sanatan Dharma. So there's different kinds of dharmas. It's the quality, the inherent quality. Hare Krishna. So Yaksha asks, who accompanies a man in death? And Yudhishthira replied, Dharma. In other words, his inherent quality. Whatever dharma he has pursued, that accompanies him at death. The Yaksha asked, what is the biggest vessel? Yudhishthira replied, the earth, which contains all within itself, is the greatest vessel. The Yaksha asked, what is happiness? Hare Krishna. Yudhishthira replied, happiness is the result of good conduct. Yeah, it's one of the happiness is one of the symptoms of the mode of goodness. So there are less negative reactions in the mode of goodness. It's not necessarily transcendental, but there are more good reactions, or usually opulence, measure of opulence, peacefulness. It has a feeling of being safe and secure. Although anything in the modes is certainly not safe or secure, but it's a more serene. So happiness is the result of good conduct. The Yaksha asked, what is that abandoning which man becomes loved by all? What is that abandoning which man becomes loved by all? Yudhishthira replied, pride. For abandoning that, man will be loved by all. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We have to say here false pride. Yeah, false pride. The Yaksha asked, what is the loss which yields joy and not sorrow? Yudhishthira replied, anger. Giving it up, we will no longer be subject to sorrow. So all of these things are there on the transcendental platform. It's a little different. These questions are pertaining to someone who is under the modes of material nature. And Yudhishthira is destined to be the ruler of the planet. And what does the ruler of the planet do? He sees that everyone is engaged according to their quality, material quality. So he has to be wise in these things, how the material energy works, how the modes work. And he's being tested here. He understands the pitfalls of pride and how someone who's subjected to that will have a lot of difficulty being appreciated by others. And then also anger, material anger. See, these things cause people to do things that disturb others. So anger is a very unhappy situation to be angry. Along with anger comes wanting to retaliate, thinking that will relieve this uncomfortable situation of anger. Out of anger, people do all sorts of horrible things to each other. It doesn't relieve the anger, it just makes it worse. I mean, it can feel good for a half a second, like go out and kill somebody because you're angry. I mean, it might, feel good for about 2 minutes, and then you have to deal with all the reactions. So these things drive people. Pride, false pride drives someone to abuse others. Anger also is abusive, materially abusive conditions. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. The Yaksha asks, what is that by giving up which man becomes rich? Yudhishthira replied, desire. Getting rid of it, man becomes wealthy. Yes, this is all the materially infected emotions. Pride, anger, desire. I mean, desire is very desirable if it's directed toward Krishna. I mean, so these are materially contaminated emotions. They actually ask, what makes one a real Brahmin? Is it birth, good conduct, or learning? Answer decisively. Yudhishthira replied, birth and learning do not make one a Brahmin. Good conduct alone does. However learned a person may be, he will not be a Brahmana if he is a slave to bad habits. Even though he may be learned in the 4 Vedas, a man of bad conduct falls to a lower class. Yudhishthira has to manage all of these affairs as the emperor. So he has to understand how all this works. This is the potency of Lord Vishnu, who's the maintainer. This is all about maintaining peaceful society, Lord Vishnu. Yudhishthira replied, every day men see creatures depart to Yama's abode, and yet those who remain seek to live forever. This verily is the greatest wonder. Oh, the Yaksha asked, what is the greatest wonder in the world? And this is really a wonderful answer. Every day men see creatures depart to Yama's abode, and yet those who remain seek to live forever. This verily is the greatest wonder. Krishna. Thus, the Yaksha posed many questions. Yudhishthira answered them all. In the end, the Yaksha asked, O king, one of your dead brothers can now be revived. Whom do you want to be revived? He shall come back to life. Yudhishthira thought for a moment and then replied, may the cloud-complexioned, lotus-eyed, broad-chested and long-armed Nakula, lying like a fallen ebony tree, arise. The Yaksha was pleased at this and asked Yudhishthira, "Why did you choose Nakula in preference to Bhima, who has the strength of 16,000 elephants? I've heard that Bhima is most dear to you. And why not Arjuna, whose prowess in arms is your protection? Tell me why you chose Nakula rather than either of these two." Yudhishthira replied, "O Yaksha, Dharma is the only shield of man, and not Bhima or Arjuna. If Dharma is set at naught, man will be ruined. Kunti and Madri were the two wives of my father. I am surviving, a son of Kunti, and so she is not completely bereaved. In order that the scales of justice may be even, I ask that Madri's son Nakula may be revived." The Yaksha was pleased with Yudhishthira's impartiality and granted that all his brothers would come back to life. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah, the impartiality, right, but actually the higher principle was when Yudhishthira replied that it's not Bhima or Arjuna, it is that is the protector, is actually Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It was Yama, in the form of death, who had taken the form of the deer and the Yaksha so that he might see his son Yudhishthira and test him. He embraced Yudhishthira and blessed him. In the previous chapters, this is all of the different brothers were being given different potencies or being empowered in different ways for what they were going to have to do with the Battle of Kurukshetra and afterwards. Arjuna received special weapons from his father, Indra. Bhima received special blessings from his brother, Hanuman. They were both the sons of Vayu, demigod of the wind. They were all receiving these different blessings. So here, Yudhishthira wants to give special, Yamaraj wants to give special blessings to his son Yudhishthira, and it took this form. So Yama says, "Only a few days remain to complete the stipulated period of your exile in the forest. The 13th year will also pass by. None of your enemies will be able to discover you. You will successfully fulfill your undertaking." And saying this, he disappeared. So his blessing was that they would be successful in this exile. They wouldn't be discovered. The Pandavas had, no doubt, to pass through all sorts of troubles during their exile. But the gains, too, were not inconsiderable. It was a period of hard discipline and searching probation through which they emerged stronger and nobler men. So this is really the way to see whatever difficulties the transcendentalist is dealing with. They're there to make stronger. And one of my favorite little sayings is, it's from the sales world. Salesman, they say, you learn the most from your toughest customer. Arjuna returned from tapas with divine weapons and strengthened by contact with Indra. Oh, this is, that was right on, see? Now he's going to summarize. This is just what I was saying. Hare Krishna. Bhima also met his elder brother Hanuman near the lake where the Sogandika flowers bloomed and got tenfold strength from his embrace. Having met at the enchanted pool, his father Yama, the Lord of Dharma, Yudhishthira shone with tenfold luster. The minds of those who listen to the sacred story of Yudhishthira's meeting with his father will never go after evil. They will never seek to create quarrels among friends or covet the wealth of others. They will never fall victims to lust. They will never be unduly attached to transitory things. Thus said Vaishampayan to Janamanjaya as he related the story of the Yakshara. May the same good attend the readers of this story as retold by us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yes. Krishna. May those who are drinking from a contaminated pool at the present time may they be blessed by passing their tests. And have access to the pure source. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. May they be able to recognize the amazing grace manifest now in the form of Srila Gaura Haridas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.